Hello guys, I'm Kirti here from ThinkQuotient software and we are in the third session of Core Java today. So in this video what we are going to focus on, that is the basic concepts of class and object. What is class and what is object? Okay, we are going to see how to write a simple class, how to write methods in class. Also, if I want to invoke that methods, how I should create an object of that class. Okay, so that we are going to focus. And yes, we'll see one more point wherein we will be learning how I can keep some security levels to access my data. Okay, and that we'll see through something called as access specifiers. Okay, so guys, in very first session we talked about some Java features, and in that I had told you Java programming, it is based on or it follows something called as object oriented programming concepts. So in object oriented programming there are four basic pillar concepts, and they are nothing but your abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism, right? So if I implement those all concepts, then it's building these four pillars are there, but what is the basic foundation, how I can implement those all concepts? I cannot implement that concepts if I don't have class and object in my code. So I can say class and object concept is the foundation concept of object oriented programming approach. Okay, so we'll see how to create a class, basically what is a concept of class. Okay, so from what this concept has been arrived, let's try to understand that first. Okay, now in any project development or in any application, I need some big scale data most of the time to handle. Okay, so whatever data I'm going to handle, that data should be easily maintainable further. Okay, I should be able to handle that data in easiest way. Okay, it should be maintainable for me. And if I try to store it in a simple kind of grid like format or in simple kind of variables, so that probably would not help me, right? So let's use some technique which will give me ease of handling and maintenance of that data in future as well. And that technique is nothing but you can classify your data, you can categorize your data, so that maybe if you want to utilize that data further, you can do that. Okay, so to achieve this means if I want to categorize or if I want to classify my data, then there is one thing provided, that is nothing but class. So basically class, this concept has arrived from concept of classification. Okay, so if I want to create some classification, if I want to create some category, okay, that is nothing but I want to create what? A class. So basically why we need a class? Okay, so to understand that, let's focus on few concepts here. Yeah, yes guys, so to understand this concept, I have just what you can say, I have some example for you, because without example there is very less possibility that you will understand this concept. Okay, so as I have told you, from term classification, class concept has come in Java. Okay, so basically how I will generate a class, how I will create a category, or basically why I need such category, why there is need to make a class. Okay, so there are some 2-3 reasons. Means in technical term, if you want to define it, you will find it out some definition of class like this, that is class is nothing but a template or a blueprint of your objects. Okay, means what, that you will understand after few minutes. But before that, I just wanted to tell you one more point about class. Okay, in very first session we saw the data types which are available in Java, and we saw there are two categories. Just give remembrance. Okay, so over there one was primitive data type category, another one was non-primitive type of category. Okay, so primitive were all predefined data types, but in non-primitive you are allowed to create your own custom data types also. So how I will create my own data type? I mean to say, as there is int, float, double, character, boolean, these are all predefined data types known to compiler. Means anytime I can declare a variable of type integer, or anytime I can declare a variable of type float. Correct? Likewise, I want to create my own data type now. Okay? So, how I can create it? so that in future I can declare a variable of my own type. Okay, so here there is a first need of class, you can say, or you can define your class in this way also, that is class is nothing but your customized data type. Now when you are creating your own class, what it becomes, it is one of the category, or we can say it is one of the blueprint or a template created for that type of variables. Okay, say int is a type, I create x y z, I declare x y z of integer type. Okay, so int type specifications gets applied to all these xyz. Likewise, if I create my own class, means if I am creating my own data type, when I declare variables of that type, so for all that type of variables, my class definition becomes like a blueprint. Okay, means a very routine common example I would like to tell you, that is, if there is one architect and he has designed some plan for some building, for some mall, suppose. Okay, so once his design or once his plan is ready, by using that plan I can create building number 1, I can build another building of same structure, I can have building number 3, building number 4, like that. So what I can say, this building 1, building 2, building 3, building 4, they all are of, I mean, they have been built from same plan. So for all this building, that a single plan was acting as a blueprint or it was acting as a template. In same way, whichever category or whichever class I am creating, that class has become my own data type. Okay, and that data type is having some specifications inside it. What kind of specifications? See, each category or each class will have its own properties. In other words, you can say them as a variables or attributes. Each class will have some properties or attributes defined inside them. Okay, also it will have some behaviors. Behaviors means what? As a programmer or as a developer mind, if you see that behaviors are nothing but the functions. Okay, but we will not call them as a functions here in Java. Functions can be called as a methods in Java. So methods are nothing but behaviors of that specific class. So when I declare some class as my type, that class is a single unit which is made up of some behaviors, means what? Methods, and some properties, that is nothing but attributes, which are clubbed together in that unit. So here you come up with a second definition of class. How you can define a class? Class is a single unit in which the methods or behaviors and the properties are wrapped together. Okay, so when I define this type, when I bundle this what you can say behaviors, and when I put some properties along with it in one unit, that has become my own type, and these methods and behaviors are nothing but the specifications of that class, and this whole definition of that class acts as a blueprint or as a template for the variables that you declare of that type. Okay, so to support this third point, I would just like to show you one example. Okay, now just understand how it is realistic. So till now we have discussed 2 points. Which are they? Class is nothing but my custom data type. I am going to create my own data type. Okay, and also class is nothing but a template or a blueprint for what? For objects of that type. Okay, now how it is as a blueprint or a object, how you will say that? Now say from real life world, you have n number of categories. Okay, on daily routine basis you have what you can say n number of classes that you may think about. Okay, say book can be your one of the class. I can treat book as one of the class. Okay, why? Because that category has some behaviors and some properties belonging to it. Take example, some book, or I mean any book, it will have some price, it will have some author, it will have some publication. So these are all what? Properties of that class. Okay, and I will have that properties in terms of variables declared inside my actual coding. How it is that we'll see, that is latter part. But right now for book as a category, what I'm having? Book ID, book name, okay, likewise book price, book author, and book publication. These are all what? Properties. But what I will do with these properties alone? That property should be used for some purpose. I should be able to do some manipulations with that properties. So to manipulate those properties inside that class definition, you also will have some behaviors. What that behaviors can be? They can be read book, they can be purchase book, they can be something called as edit book. Are you understanding? So this is what? Book as a class. Now, if I consider, say, one of the book example, in fact, you take any book, any book will have some properties, okay, which I have defined in this template. Suppose there is a book 1. So book 1 will have some book name, it will have some author name, it will have some behaviors like edit book, publish book, etc. Right? So this is acting as a template for other books. Likewise, here, let's see another example. I'm considering one of the category. I'm considering one of the classification, say movie. Now just see this. What is the name of my category? That is what? Movie. Now this movie as a category, okay, what kind of properties and behaviors it can have? So movie, any movie, it can have some profit earn, some amount as a profit earn. So profit earn is what? One of the property of that movie. Who is the actor in that movie? Who is the producer of that movie? Okay. What is the year of release? Okay. So these all are what? Properties, or we can say attributes of that movie as a category. But to manipulate these properties, to work with these properties, okay, I should have some behaviors of this movie. So movie as a category will behave in some way. Okay, so what different behaviors or methods we can have in this specific class? That is edit movie, okay, then shoot movie, then I can have write script for movie. Okay, so these all are what? The behaviors of this specific movie class, right? So here this movie is acting as, it would treat as my custom data type, and also it will act as a template or a blueprint for any of the variable of type movie. As you declare a variable of type integer, you say integer x, right? Likewise, once I define this class in my code, this class structure I have given in front of you as a sample, but once I have this ready with me, anytime I can create a variable of type movie. Okay, for example, I may have one variable of type movie, say Titanic. Here if you see Titanic, I may declare it as a variable of type movie, like movie Titanic. So when I declare it as a variable, Titanic becomes a variable of type movie, because movie is your own type, you can declare a variable of that type. Okay, likewise what I can have another variable, say Uri. Uri is what you can say variable of type movie. So when I declare this variable of type movie, now you may have a question in your mind. In case of primitive data type, we talked about like they are with a fixed sizes, means when I declare some integer type I, it occupies something like 4 bytes in memory, right? So likewise, now when I declare a variable, say Titanic of type movie, okay, then how much space it would take into memory? Okay, so where it gets allocated and how much space it takes, that we are going to discuss, but it is totally dependent on how many properties you have taken into this movie type category. So total space required for these all variables means profit earn. Okay, if it is float type, then it would take 4 bytes. Likewise, year of release, that would be integer type value, so that it is of 4 bytes again. Likewise, the size of actor value, actor name, how much space it will take. Likewise, size of, what you can say, producer name, how much size it would take in a memory. So sum of sizes of all will be the, what you can say, size taken for this Titanic variable. Okay, and that size is not fixed, no. Okay, see, profit earn as a float type, I can say it is of 4 bytes. Year of release as an integer type value, I can say it is of 4 bytes. But what's about actor name and producer? I don't know how much lengthy it is. So that's why the size of this Titanic variable gets decided at the time of execution. Okay, That's why that type, I mean your class name as a custom data type, comes under category non-primitive data types. Why? Because its size gets decided dynamically. The size of this type of variable gets decided dynamically. Okay, so here if you see both this Titanic and Uri, they are the variables of type class, and these variables of type class movie, they are nothing but objects. Okay, so there is other term, object. What is it? See, only class making it as a category of no use. How you will realize that behaviors, how you will experience, how you will use that facilities given in that template as a class. So for that purpose, you have to instantiate that specific class. So instantiating the specific class means what? Creating a variable of that type and getting some memory allocation done for that type of variable. So when I declare a variable of type movie, I can say that is the particular instance of that movie. So there are n number of movies. Each movie is an instance of this movie category, I can say so. Okay, so this Titanic and Uri, I can say these are, I mean they can be declared as a variables of type movie. So these both, they are of movie type. And if you want to define objects, you can say objects are variables of type class. Okay, also at a particular time when that objects, I mean when that variables of type class gets created, okay, so what value will be stored in that? So at that particular time some values would be stored. Okay, so what they can be totally depends on how you behave, but when you initially create your object, they would be all default values. We'll come to that. But at a particular moment when that object gets created in a memory, that object JVM considers it as one of the instance of that class. Okay, so object also can be defined as instance of class. Are you clear? So here we are focusing on two things, that is what is class and what is object. So I'm just trying to summarize whatever we have discussed till now. That is class, it is nothing but one of the custom type that I'm going to create. Also you can define your class as a single unit wherein I am wrapping methods or behaviors and the properties together in one unit. Okay, and also you can consider class as one of the template, or we can say it is a blueprint for objects. So what is object? So object is nothing but a variable of type class. Okay, also at a particular moment at the time of execution, okay, that instance, I mean of that class type also can be called as a object. So other definition of object is what? Object is nothing but instance of a class. Also you can say it like all objects, okay, I mean which are of same type. Okay, here I'm just coming to class definition, fourth flavor of class definition I'm telling you. Okay, suppose I have all movie type objects together. Okay, some Titanic is there, Uri is there, say some XYZ, some ABC, yeah, movie number 1, movie 2, these n number of movie type objects are there. So what we say, these all objects are nothing but they are movies, right? So what we are able to say, class is nothing but collection of objects. This is the fourth point, fourth definition of class you can say. Take another example. If I have fruit as a category, okay, in fruit category I have its taste, I have price, I have color, okay, and there are some behaviors of that fruit category, fruit class, that is purchase fruit, okay, eat fruit, something like that. So this is what the template that I have created. Now suppose I have n number of variables of type fruit. Okay, so there is an apple, I say fruit apple, so apple is a kind of fruit. Okay, likewise when I say fruit banana, banana is a fruit. When I say fruit, say grapes, that is also a fruit. So when I put all these fruit objects together in one bucket, okay, just imagine in front of you, you have one bucket in which you have apple, you have banana and you have grapes all together. So this collection of objects, what you can say them as? You will say these are fruits, no? Means collection of object is what? again it's a class. Okay, so here this is what is class, and this is how we can say what is, I mean, instance of class, that is nothing but object. Okay, now what we'll try to do, we'll try to actually realize this concept practically, that is through code. So we will go back to Eclipse environment and we'll see how to create class, how to write a class in a Java. Okay, also how to write what you can say methods inside it, and how we can have some variables declared as a properties of that class. So once we learn that, then we'll come to how we can create an object of it. Okay, so let's go back to Eclipse. Yes guys, now let's see how to create a class here. So we have already created one project, that is class and object. In this project, now if I want to create my own class as a category, what we have to say, just right click your project, say new, in that you will say class. Okay, now please understand, whatever names you will give to your class, they should follow camel casing rule. Okay, so I have already told you about camel casing rule. So while declaring variables, we were taking precaution, your variable names should start with a small letter, and each first character of next word in that, it should have, I mean, it should be in capital letter. So that was one of the camel casing rule. Likewise, the standard here to declare the class name in Java is what? Here Java class also follows a rule of camel casing while naming it. Means what? Your class should start with a capital letter. Class name should start with a capital letter. In case if your class name have more than one words, then the first character of each next word should be in capital. So suppose I am going to name my class like movie class. What is the name of my class? Say movie class. Okay, yeah, let's name it movie right now. Okay, if there are two words, then you will follow this rule. For next word, first character has to be in capitals, like this. So right now my class name is a movie. Okay, and I'm not going to include main method right now. I just want to create a blueprint, that's it. Okay, so say finish. So here automatically your class definition will be created. I mean, it will try to make a class. It has got declared with a class keyword. Class is a keyword in Java, and using class keyword you can define your own class. Here you are going to declare your own data type, that is what? Movie. Okay, now this class has got declared as a public. What is it that we are going to see later, not now. Okay, so just see inside this class what all behaviors I want to have. I mean, what all properties we should have, that discuss first. Okay, let's discuss that. So in movie class, each movie, as I have thought over it, okay, see, any developer when he develops a software, he will not directly sit on what you can say a PC and he will not start keying the things. There is some thought process behind that. He will think about what data I have to maintain, how it should be organized, okay, and all that stuff. So accordingly, suppose we have already completed the thought process, and I expect in my movie as a type, I should maintain say year of release, then profit earned by that movie, who is the actor and who is a producer. Suppose I want to store this data, okay, then think about what should be type of that data. So obviously year of release for that movie, okay, that would be integer type, no? Okay, so I'm naming that variable like this, say year of release. Okay, so this is what one of the integer type variable. Likewise, that movie has earned some profit, suppose. So if I want to store that profit, so it can be float value, no? So I'm preferring to declare it as a float. I'm saying float type profit. Okay, likewise, there is some actor and producer associated with that movie. Okay, so that actor and producer, obviously its names, I mean that people names I'm going to store, so that has to be group of characters, that is nothing but what? A string. So let's make them of type string. String is one of the non-primitive data type into Java because its size is not fixed unless you give actual value. So suppose I'm giving here, that is what? Producer. So you can say producer name, okay, and likewise you can say actor, okay. So please observe carefully while naming the variables also. I am following some basic standard rules. That is, the first character of my variable is in small, and in case it has more than one words, then for each next word first character is in capitals, okay. So you also should follow the same industry standards. So these are what the properties, or we can say the attributes of this class. Now only this attribute declaration is of no use, okay. Means how you will manipulate. Suppose I want to set some year of release, or I want to see what is the profit, or I want to what you can say set some actor's name for that movie, okay. Yeah, I want to edit producer name. So how you will do that all stuff, right? So for that purpose you are supposed to have some behaviors associated with that movie type, and that behaviors, how you will write, you can call that behaviors as methods, okay. So in short, here now we are going to see how methods can be drafted as a part of your class, okay. So now assume there would be some behaviors like what you can say accept data for that movie, okay. So what data I want to accept? The same stuff that I have declared as the properties. I want to set some year of release, I want to set how much profit it has done, I want to set a value for producer name and actor name. So if I want to set this all data, let me write one behavior to that, okay. So how you will draft this behavior? So that behavior, it is nothing but the method, and each method, so try to understand, each method will have some method name. So what is the name of that method? What is that behavior? Okay, that I'm saying, that is what? Accept details. Okay, so inside accept details, whatever task I will do. Now say this is not done. I mean, I have not declared the method properly. I have just given the method name, but also I should tell what it should return. So your method can have some return type. Sometime it may not return anything. So if you want to indicate this to your compiler that this method is not returning anything, then you please write its return type as void. Okay, so for method declaration, okay, what is the syntax? You can declare your method like return type, okay, then you can write method name. Instead of you can, I should say you should. Some method name would be there, and if in case if you want to pass some parameters, then you can pass some parameter list. This is how you are supposed to declare your method. So right now, what is the return type of this method? Void. Void is the special type, okay. We had not listed it out over there even in primitive types, but void is a special type which indicates to my compiler that this method returns nothing. Void means what? Nothing, okay. What is the method name? Method name is accept details, and right now I am not passing any parameters. Right now I am not passing any parameters. So here inside this method, what task I want to do? I want to accept details for all those properties. Suppose I want to set, say, year of release for particular movie, whichever instance I am talking about, okay. That's year of release is say 1997. Okay, likewise how much profit it did, okay. So profit amount, I'm just trying to set some amount here. So profit variable is a float type variable. If you see, profit variable is what? Float type variable. So I should assign float type value to it. So suppose this is the profit, okay, let's make it like 1,20,000, okay. So here to indicate this as a what you can say float value, you please give it like this, that is 1,20,000.00f. It indicates it is a float type value. Understanding? If you give it like this, okay, then still it is aligned, but in some cases, okay, you will get the error from compiler side. By default float type values, Okay, float type values are expected to be initialized in this manner only. Why it is so, its reason we'll see afterwards. There are few concepts we are supposed to focus on. Okay, typecasting. When we'll see that, you will understand it. Okay, so right now I'm just assigning a float type value to this. Likewise, I want to set some producer name. So I'm just saying producer name is equal to, say, Mr. James. Okay, and likewise I'm trying to set some actor name here. So actor name, I am just saying it is Leonardo. Okay, so this is what one of the actor name that I have set to my movie. Okay, and this is one of the tasks available in this specific class. This is nothing but the behavior of this class. In this way I can have many more behaviors. As there is one of the method or behavior I have drafted to accept the details, maybe I want to have some facility to see that details. I want to display that details of that movie. Then how we can do that? Then you write another method. Okay, so let me write a method called as show details. Okay, please note it down. While naming the methods as well, I am following camel casing rule. Okay, they are same as you have followed for variable naming. No, the first character should start with small, and for each next word first character has to be in capitals. Same rule like your variable. But while naming the class, each character, each first character of new word and also the starting character has to be in capitals. Please note it down. Okay, so here I am drafting one more method. What is it? Void show details. So I'm just naming it like this, and in this method what task I'm expected to do, that is I expect let it show all data available about that specific movie. So we are just saying system.out.println. Okay, so here movie, what is it, profit. If I want to display how much profit it had done, okay, is rupees, and I'm just trying to show that profit value, so whatever it is. Okay, so this is one of the statement. Okay, likewise here I'm just trying to display who is a movie producer. Okay, so I'm just trying to display it out. So this is producer name. So just use producer variable here. Okay, it is producer name, the full name, proper variable name you are supposed to use. And likewise here let's display out who is the actor in this movie. Okay, so I'm saying actor name is, and I'm displaying that actor name here. So actor name. Likewise, when did this movie release? Okay, so let's display it. Movie released in year of, whatever year of release is there. So this is what year of release. So this is what one more behavior that we have drafted. So overall, how your class definition looks like, how your class template looks like. So this template is made up of some 4 properties and some 2 behaviors right now. Okay, so whenever I want to create a variable of type movie, then that variable will follow same template. Okay, means what? We are going to see that, but for that purpose we should learn how to create a variable of type movie. Okay, so let's come to that. So here I have drafted a class movie. It is in a separate file. If you observe, it is in movie.java. Okay, now let's write another class in which I will try to have entry point for execution, that is nothing but a main method. See, I could have drafted main method here also, no problem. Means with this class also I can start my execution. Okay, since this is our first code, let's try to do it here only. Okay, so here only I am just saying there is a main method. So public static void main, and inside main I am just trying to pass a string type parameter. Okay, string type array as a parameter. Why it is so, I mean, we'll try to use this. Okay, but this is how main method is predefined, and we are supposed to write it like this only. This is the predefined syntax of main method. Now, as you are allowed to declare integer type variable, say a, int was the predefined data type. Okay, likewise, now I have created my own data type. Now I have created my own data type. Okay, and what is that data type name? That is nothing but movie. That is nothing but movie. So if I want to create a variable of type movie, how I will do that? Say variable of type movie, you can simply declare it like this. Okay, so movie, suppose I'm going to declare a variable, say Titanic. So here I can say Titanic is of type movie. Are you understanding? Titanic is of type movie, right? Now when I say this is of type movie, then there would be a question, that is how much size it will take in memory. So right now with only declaration, it has not occupied any bytes in a memory. Please understand, it is only declared as a reference of type movie. Titanic is able to, I mean, it is just declared as a reference of type movie. Still it has not got created in a memory. Means still it has not got instantiated. Its instance is not created. Okay. So how to create it? How to create the instance of the class? That is nothing but how to create object of the class. Okay. Now you may have question in your mind, why to create object of the class? If I have declared just variable of type movie, if I just declare Titanic of type movie, won't be it sufficient? It will not be sufficient. Okay, we should create object of it. Why we should create object of it? See, when you create object of movie type, no, when you create object of movie type, what happens? Actually in the memory for that movie type variable, some space gets allocated, and once that space get allocated, then there is a point I can avail benefit of this, what you can say, predefined a template of the class. Okay, otherwise only by saying Titanic. See, there is one question, that is, in this class I have declared some properties, I have declared some behaviors. There is accept details method and there is show details method, right? Now suppose I want to accept details for some movie. Assume I want to accept details for particular movie, say Titanic movie. Okay, so how I can behave like this, how Titanic variable of type movie can do this task. This is what a behavior of that class, no? So try to understand, whenever I am creating, whenever I am declaring a variable of type movie, so this movie type is acting as a blueprint for Titanic. Means Titanic will be like movie specifications. Okay, if I create one more variable here, if I declare one more variable of type movie, say Uri. So Uri is one of the variable of type movie. It means movie template may whichever facilities are there, they all are applicable to Uri. But how to use that facilities, how to realize that? Suppose I want to get details for Uri, if I want to get details for Titanic, how I can get that all? So for that purpose, there is only way, that is, you are supposed to create object of Uri. You have to create object of object as a Titanic. Okay, so why you need to create an object? This is what we were talking. Suppose I want to get the details, I want to accept the details for what you can say, Titanic. So ideally for Titanic, you are expected to call this behavior, that is nothing but method invocation. For Titanic or with Titanic object, what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to call this method, you are supposed to call this behavior, so that for Titanic object, these values like year of release 1997, profit, then producer name and actor name, everything would be set. Okay, but the question is where it will be set, where it will be stored. Okay, so that provision we had not done till now. And how that provision will be done, that is when there would be some space allocated in memory for Titanic variable. For Titanic variable directly it won't be able to allocate a space unless we use a keyword called as new. Okay, so please note it down. Okay, if you want to create an object of class type, then how you will create that object, that is by using new keyword. So see the things how they are interlinked. I have defined the template, I have defined the variable of that type of that class. Now from that class, if I want to what you can say, invoke some behaviors, or if I want to invoke some methods, what is the compulsory thing, that is I have to create object of that class. And how I will create, basically why I should create object of that class, so that for that object in memory there would be some space which will get allocated, and that would be allocated dynamically at the time of execution. Why? Because compiler is not knowing what is the size of your, what you can say, movie type at early stage. So that space should get allocated dynamically. Then how I can allocate that memory space dynamically for that object, that is by using new keyword. Okay, and how to do that? So just say if I want to allocate a memory for that object dynamically, I could have said like this. So movie, what is the object name? I have already declared it, so I can directly say, or let me write it like this. I have declared a variable of type movie, so I can say movie Titanic is equal to, here I should say new movie. This is very important statement of today's session, please believe me. Okay, this we are going to use forever while using Java concepts now, so understand it well. So this statement, what it is doing, so there are two things. On left hand side, see there is a assignment operator, right? There is a assignment operator. On left hand side, what you have done, you have declared a variable Titanic of type movie, right? And on the right hand side you are saying something, that is what, new movie. So what exactly happens? Okay, so to understand this, let's see some picture, so that you will be able to grasp it well. Okay, yeah, yes guys, so what we are supposed to see, that is how and where, what you can say, memory for object gets allocated. Okay, but before saying that, I wanted to tell you very much important thing. When you declare variables in Java, no, so how they get stored in a memory, that is one important point. Let's focus on that in 2 minutes. So here in front of you there is some diagram available. Okay, so in that diagram you are able to see some total memory available. This outsider rectangle is what, your total memory available. So this total memory is nothing but what, it's a RAM. Okay, now from this RAM, some part of data, some part of memory would be available for what, data segment. Okay, some part of memory would be available to store actual data, and some will be to store your code, that is code segment you can say. So in data segment you are having some 3 sections, and in Java code your data, your variables whichever you declare, they get stored in either of this section. So which are they? So from your RAM, from your memory, okay, in your data segment area, some area is available as a stack area. Okay, some is memory heap area. Okay, memory heap area means what? Try to understand. So at a time on your computer, whichever number of applications you have, what you can say, executed, currently how many, what you can say, applications are running on your computer, based on that from RAM, okay, some space will be utilized. Okay, suppose my computer's RAM is say 8 GB. So depending on how many applications I have open currently, some space would be utilized to run them. Okay, so apart from that space, apart from the space which is being used for that applications to run, remaining memory space, you can call it as memory heap. You can call it as memory heap. And this size of memory heap, that's why it's not fixed, because it totally depends on how much memory is being occupied to run other applications. Okay, so that's why here if you see, the boundary in between your heap area, memory heap area and stack area is not a fix. It's always moving. Okay, so heap area is a such memory area in which from Java program, variables that you have declared as a reference variable or objects, okay, they get stored always where? They gets created and stored in memory heap area. Please note it down. Okay, so memory heap area is to store dynamically allocated variables. Okay, likewise in stack area, what it will store? So stack, you know, in which you will be always having some local variables stored. So whichever variables are declared as a local, they will go on stack area. Okay, and other section is called as data section, and that is nothing but in your code, if you have some global and we can say some static data, then it will be stored here in data section. Okay, now let's come to when I create a variable of type movie. In my code I said create a variable, say Titanic, of type movie. I will call it as an object henceforth. So it is one of the instance of my class, and in this statement I'm saying is equal to new movie. This new keyword is quite important for us right now. Okay, so here movie Titanic is equal to new movie. What it is doing? Okay, so when right hand side part will be executed, no, when this right hand side part will be executed, then what is going to happen in memory? In assignment operator, always right hand side part gets executed first. Okay, so new movie, what happens with that? So with that, in your memory heap area is the one where all dynamically allocated variables get stored. So this memory heap area would be different, okay, each time. I mean its size would be different. So assume, say that heap area, how much it will be, it's always in a cloud, it's not known. So memory heap area generally gets indicated with this symbol, I mean with this shape, you can say. I'm using this shape for that. Okay, so this is memory heap area. And when I say new movie, no, so now movie has become my own type. Okay, so movie type object I'm going to create. So what is the movie's template? In my movie template, I have some producer name, I have actor name, I have profit earn, I have year of release. So how much space is required to hold, I mean to all these values? So sum of sizes of all. Okay, okay, so by combining size of all, some variable, some object, we'll call it as an object, that will get created in a memory, and it would be created like this. Are you able to see? Some space has got allocated. How much space? God knows. Okay, why? Because I don't know what is actor name, what is producer name. So when you say new movie like this, okay, so by default when the memory gets allocated, this memory will be allocated and automatically वो class का template it has got applied to this object, if you observe. Because I mean in that class, whichever variables or properties are there, that all variables and properties are applicable, they are there into your object. Okay, so in this way this Titanic as object is getting created into memory. So after saying new movie, in memory heap area, some memory will be allocated dynamically. That memory will have some address of it. Okay, and its reference, see its reference. So new movie, this has got evaluated in this manner. In memory heap, object has got created. So the question is, this right hand side has got evaluated. So on left hand side, what it is assigning? On left hand side variable Titanic, what it is assigning? So it is assigning this specific memory address to Titanic. Okay, on right hand side, see I am pardoning, On right hand side you are saying new movie. So in memory heap area, object of that movie type has got created, and its memory reference where that object has got created, that will get assigned to left hand side variable Titanic. So the question is where that Titanic variable will be hold. So that will be hold into separate memory area called as stack. Okay, so here this object's reference whichever has got created will be stored here into stack. So you can say Titanic is a reference on a stack which is pointing to this specific memory area. And once this object is available into memory, then I can use the facilities available into that class. Means what? Now using this Titanic object, I can call different behaviors of that class. That is what you may call something called as accept details. You may call what is it? Display details, etc. So I hope you are clear with this line. That is how to create object of your class.